the level he was able to pull out of himself. I mean, those first few rounds, he did not look 100%. Saw him not running after balls. We saw him grimacing, really un-Novak-like stuff. And then at the end, you saw how much it meant to him and everything he's been through these last couple of years, really historic moments in Melbourne last night.
22. No, what you realize here is that there's a lot more to winning these events than just beating 7 other players. And we saw after the match, Novak let it all out, and you realize you have the weight of what happened last year, the weight of the pressure of being the Novak against the field, the weight of history. He had the 22 on his jacket. Imagine if he hadn't closed the deal and had that in his bag. What you realize is that winning these majors is, yes, about winning 21 sets, but about winning so much more.
Every time Roger, Rafa, or Novak comes to one of these Grand Slams and is able to get it, you can't help but think all the way back. And when you see those older clips of Novak and what he had to overcome as a young player and dealing with, Roger and Rafa at the top here, and how could you ever break into that? And now to see where he is, it's monumental. Reminds me a little bit of when Jordan came in. You had Magic and Larry there in the NBA, and the Pistons kind of beating him up, and then all of a sudden, pulls out this different beast. And that's what we've seen from him. And no sign of slowing down.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
No LeBron or Steph waiting in the wings.
No, it doesn't seem that way. Yeah.
15 years ago, won his first major right here at the Australian Open, and still going strong. We will take you set by set through last night's championship match. Prakash, Novak coming in on that 27-match win streak at the Australian Open. He had also won 9 straight against Stefanos Tsitsipas.
Well, he got off to as good a start as he wanted, just seemed to be fully in control all the way through. And the crazy thing about him is he just has so much margin on all of his shots. He makes you go for shots you wouldn't normally go for. Steph feeling a little bit of pressure coming up with a double there to lose his serve. But another good example here, Steph just in the middle of a rally, almost a little bit of a bailout shot because you're just not sure where to go. Where do you attack Novak? Even in recent months, his forehand has seemingly gotten so much better. And here, the absolute epitome of Novak's game. Brilliant return, and he seemed to be out of the point. Steph rushes him, but his movement is just there to be able to find the pass. Able to take that first set. Not the ideal start for the Greek, but as good as Novak could have possibly wanted.
Everybody on this set said yesterday, Tsitsipas needed to start quickly. That did not happen. Take a look at these numbers. Djokovic won 17 of 18 points on his first serve. Got that one break of serve, and of course, the winners to unforced errors led that category as well. So first set to Novak Djokovic. What are you thinking at that point?
Well, we all said that for Steph, he was going to have to start well. He didn't get the start he really needed or really wanted, and he couldn't get into any of the return games. Yes, Novak was serving great on the first serve, but Steph seemed a little unclear how he wanted to go about his second serve return, and that was going to be crucial. He could have maybe put a little bit of more pressure on Novak with some better second serve returns. He wasn't. Novak served very relaxed and very free, and that was the first set.
Yep, Novak holding no problem, Steph struggling to hold. And I like your point that Novak put so much pressure on you with his return, with his precision. It changes your risk-reward calculus. And we saw Tsitsipas either going for too much or hitting mid-rally drop shots because he got the feeling he didn't know what was coming next.
It's a catch-22. You're supposed to put pressure on the opponent, but you need the opportunities to be able to do so. How do you create those when your opponent's giving you absolutely nothing? It's a tough situation. And when all this is going on, packed Rod Laver Arena, how are you able to think on the spot?
It's a situation that Djokovic has been in 9 times previously, had won all of those, and in the 10th time took the first set. Let's go through sets 2 and 3. Tsitsipas making some adjustments, Lindsay, and the second set got a lot closer.
And this was the only break point at all in the second set. It was also a set point for Steph. This was really his golden opportunity in the second set. Finally got into a return game and got into a rally. But like so many other points, Novak just adapted so well. Here, he's making sure he's got great margin, great consistency, great height over the net, and then finally gets a forehand he likes and pulls the trigger. That turned the tide also in the second set. Novak was able to get out of this service game, gets the crowd even more involved, and we head to a breaker. A little bit of a hiccup in the breaker, but Novak ends up with the second set.
Up 2 sets to love in this situation at this place. He has never given up that lead.
No, and again, in the third set, he just never thought that down 2 sets to love that Steph was going to be able to mount that big of a comeback. Novak continued with his great play. A couple of points from victory here, and Steph really held strong in this 10th game to hold serve. Pushes it to a breaker, but once again, Novak gets out to a huge lead. That really hurt Steph in both the second and third set breakers. Novak then a little tight getting across the finish line, but what a moment it was for him.
Third championship point, and just textbook Novak Djokovic. I mean, the forehand was on fire this entire match. He outserved Tsitsipas, won 82% of his first serves, 36 winners, 22 unforced errors, got the 2 breaks. And once again, it is Novak Djokovic with this type of emotion. John, you can see what it means to him.
Yeah, and you talk about his ability to compartmentalize. I mean, you'll see in a few seconds here how it all comes out. This is what he kept inside while he was playing, though, and celebrating. Think about where he was a year ago. It's been a busy 2 weeks, and it all came pouring out.
For a guy who just, seems so stoic on the court and who just, seems like a machine at times, I, for one, I love seeing it. When the tears poured out, it just, it makes it so relatable because he, too, goes through such difficult times. And I think afterward, whether it was him or Goran explaining how severe the injury actually was and what it took to do it, outstanding.
The memories also of last year came pouring out of Novak in this moment with his brother and his mom. It was really a lot to handle. At one point, his agent was trying to ask the cameras to give them some space.
A journey only Novak and his team can understand.
If I turn back the time 2.5 weeks ago, I wasn't really liking my chance in this tournament with the way I felt with my leg. And, then it was just a matter of survival of every single match and just trying to take it to the next round. It was a huge relief and release of the emotions in the end. Difficult to find any additional words, really. It's been a long journey, but a very, very special one.
Novak is a player that pushes you to your limits, and I don't see this as a curse. I don't see this as like something annoying. This is very good for the sport, to have competitors like him, to have champions like him. It's very important for us that want to get to his point one day, and getting our, asses kicked is for sure a very good lesson every single time. I find it a very important part of my career to have a player like him that will help me grow better and do bigger things.
No lies told there. A perfect 10 for 10 in Australian Open finals for Novak Djokovic, extending his own historic records. The serve, he was better at that. Obviously played a much cleaner match than Stefanos Tsitsipas to win in straight sets. Lindsay, he talked after a matter of survival. Said this is probably the biggest victory of his life. He's won some big matches against, Rafa Nadal, Roger Federer. This is the biggest one. Talk more about that reaction that you saw from him after.
Yeah, it was incredibly emotional, and seeing it all play out. We're so used to seeing him be so incredibly tough and keep everything really locked in. And in the beginning, it was more of like letting it out, and then all of a sudden the emotions come pouring out. It's interesting also hearing Goran speak after the match and saying that if you had seen his MRI 48 hours before the tournament started, there's no way. And, we knew he was injured. We didn't maybe know to the extent he was injured. And then you have to think back to his experience last year. And it was probably extremely difficult for him to get back on a plane to come again this year and to be able to win. And how about all the support from the Serbians there? I mean, the amount of grounds passes they sold, the grounds were absolutely jam-packed out there. Exactly. There were so many people there. There was an extra, 31,000 people on the grounds. Not the 15,000 that were watching, but another 31,000 watching. It was a lot for him. His wife and kids, he still hasn't seen them. So I imagine that'll be another very emotional time for Novak.
There's a lot of different things you can take from Novak as far as inspiration is concerned, but I think what stands out the most is, and always will be, is his will. You know, when you talk about that MRI, and I think Goran said something like 97% of other players would probably have not played. You know, you think about the treatment that he would have had to go through literally probably every 15 minutes throughout the day. We just see the couple of hours on the court and the fact that, oh, he's able to push through that match. This is 24 hours a day. And as Goran said, if he doesn't come away with the title, it's a failure. Yeah. So the entire team is under all sorts of pressure and anxiety the entire time. And to be able to deal with that, manage that, and still come out and do what he did, it's a superhuman effort mentally, even more than physically.
Right. And we talk about the past, we talk about a year ago. There's also the broader history of what's at stake. And he has leaned into this, Novak has. He's made no bones about the fact, yeah, I want that record. And playing with 22 on the line, he gets it. And boy, I mean, we showed this all the time, and it doesn't get any less impressive. I mean, the idea I keep saying, no, Roger Federer could have 20 majors and it's on the bronze medal stand is just what gets me. But this is a fluid graphic. It changes, and right now we have a tie.
Got that 22 on the jacket. It was ready to go, and we'll see what happens in Paris. Rafa, 14 of 14 when he makes the final at Roland Garros.
Two guys with 23 in their racket bag, ready to go, just in case, right?
We'll see if he can make the final there. But you take a look at what Novak had to go through to get this 10th title in Australia. Listen, he talked about it. First round, second round. I'm worried. I'm concerned. I'm not practicing on my days off. I don't know about this